Welcome to Inside Insights, your quick hit of tips, tools, and trends for manufacturing, distribution, and Dynamics 365 Business Central, brought to you by InsightWorks.
Okay, let's unpack this. If you are running a production facility, you know the daily struggle isn't always about machine uptime. It's about visibility.
Exactly.
You have this beautiful optimized schedule in Dynamics 365 Business Central, but what's actually happening on the floor? The labor, the scrap, the downtime.
That data is often a black hole.
It's manual, it's late, or it's just incomplete. It creates what we're calling the ghost factory, where the ERP thinks everything's on track, but the floor, well, the floor knows better.
And that gap, that's where everything breaks down. That lag between the shop floor reality and the Business Central ledger, whether it's 2 hours or 2 days, means two huge things suffer.
Your costing and your schedule.
Precisely. Your costing becomes unreliable, and your production schedule is basically obsolete the moment you print it. Business Central provides a fantastic accounting framework, but it relies on timely posting.
Right, which isn't happening if someone's filling out a paper form at the end of a shift.
Exactly. You have no real-time enforcement, and your operational reality just drifts further and further away from your financial reality.
So our mission today is to do a deep dive into the solution that bridges that gap. We're talking about manufacturing execution systems, and we're going to focus on shop floor insight.
It's a comprehensive MES solution that really acts as that real-time enforcement layer, that communication bridge for Business Central.
We're going to look at how this technology basically forces the data to be clean, accurate, and most importantly, immediate.
It fundamentally flips the whole process on its head. Instead of relying on, human discipline to fill out a time journal, Shop Floor Insight enforces the structure as the work is happening.
Okay, so how does it do that?
It captures all those production activities right at the workstation, often with a simple barcode scan. And that data, the time, the scrap, the output, it updates Business Central immediately. That immediate, validated transaction is what you need for reliable costing and scheduling that actually works.
That real-time enforcement is the key. But for listeners who know Business Central, how does Shop Floor Insight specifically take the guesswork out of updating a production order's status?
Because traditionally, that's a foreman walking the floor, right?
It makes it completely instantaneous and automatic. There's a key setting in the application's shop floor setup called Operation Status Timing.
Okay.
When you set this to real time, the moment an operator clocks time against a routing step, which is just, a stage in production like cutting or assembly, the status of that step automatically flips to in progress.
So the act of starting the work is the record of starting the work.
That's it. It's self-enforcing data capture.
That makes perfect sense. What about marking it as finished? Does the operator always have to remember to hit a complete button?
Well, it's highly configurable because finished can mean different things to different manufacturers. You can set it to automatically change the status to finished the moment finished goods are recorded.
So it's tied to an actual event. Yes, through the auto finish operations setting. You could, for instance, set it to trigger on any entry, which means any record of output automatically closes that step. Or if you need a supervisor to sign off, you can make it a manual button press.
We've established this real-time feedback is vital for management, but let's shift to the floor worker. If the interface is clunky or slow, they're just going to find a way around it.
Oh, absolutely. The user experience, especially in a noisy, maybe dusty shop environment, has to be immediate. It has to be intuitive.
So what does Shop Floor Insight do to make it easy?
It uses really effective visual cues, like color coding on the time cards. Think of it like a traffic light for data. If a time card line is open, meaning the operator's clocked on, it might flash orange.
I see.
Runtime might show up in a clear light green. This color coding is managed through something called the Shop Floor Client Configuration Card, so you can tailor that visual language to your specific needs.
That definitely reduces error. But what about finding the right job? If an operator has to scroll through a dispatch list of 150 jobs to find the one they need, any efficiency is lost.
That's where smart, layered filtering comes in. You can't just show them everything. First, each physical scanning station gets its own shop floor client configuration card.
Okay, so the terminal by the CNC machine has its own settings.
Exactly. And that card immediately filters the list to only show work for, say, the CNC Work Center. Then you layer on global filters, like hiding all jobs that are already finished.
And you can filter by date, I assume?
Yes, and crucially, with flexible ranges. You can set it to show work from 2 weeks ago to 1 week in the future, using a simple filter like -2W to +1W.
So you take a list of hundreds of jobs down to maybe a handful of relevant ones.
Exactly. That's what boosts scannability and focus. It cuts minutes of searching down to seconds.
Okay, so let's move beyond a simple linear production order. Real manufacturing is messy. What happens in a batch process, like a laser cutter or a paint booth, where one employee is technically running 15 or 20 different production orders at once?
That's where costing accuracy usually goes out the window, right? The worker clocks on once for the whole batch, but that labor time needs to be allocated correctly.
And if you don't have a system, you're just guessing. You end up distorting the true profitability of each of those jobs.
Precisely. Shop floor insight supports tracking multiple operations at the same time. When the operator finally clocks off that batch operation, the system automatically splits the recorded labor time proportionally across all the jobs involved.
Based on predefined rules, I'm guessing?
Yes. So it transforms that arbitrary guesswork into an auditable, accurate cost allocation. That is vital for knowing your true profitability.
We focused on what they're making, but the real cost leaks are often when they're not making anything. The sources put a lot of weight on tracking lost time. Why is that non-productive time so critical?
Because if you don't track it, that time just gets absorbed into overhead. Or worse, someone manually assigns it to a job that didn't actually receive the labor, which throws off your costing again.
So this forces accountability for every minute of the day.
It does. It lets users clock time against designated non-productive activity codes. Things like waiting for material or team meeting. It's necessary for payroll, sure, but you keep it separate from your production costs.
And that helps you see the true cost of, say, poor logistics.
Right, or machine maintenance issues.
And speaking of lost time, let's talk about rework. In-process rework is almost always a hidden cost. It just gets rolled into the productive time on a job, masking a massive profitability drain.
This is maybe the most strategic feature for continuous improvement. With shop floor insight, operators can classify time explicitly as rework, but it doesn't stop there.
What else?
They're prompted to assign a specific root cause code to that rework.
Okay, so things like engineering error.
Exactly. Engineering design flaw, material defect, equipment malfunction, even a sales order entry error.
So instead of just seeing, we spent 10 extra hours on job X, you see, we spent 10 extra hours on job X because engineering sent the wrong CAD file.
That's it. And that completely changes the conversation from blaming the floor worker to fixing the organizational process.
You can finally put a dollar amount on these internal problems.
You can. You use that hard data to prioritize which fixes will give you the biggest return.
And to wrap this section up, making sure the operator has the information they need right at their station. You can enhance the work instructions to show performance metrics, can't you?
Absolutely. The work instructions pane on the client can be a real-time dashboard for the operator. You can configure it to show more than just comments.
Like what kind of data?
You can show them estimated versus actual runtime and key quantity details like production quantity, unposted finished quantity, and even rejected quantity. It gives them immediate insight into how they're doing on that specific task.
Which empowers them to make corrections on the fly.
And it reduces wasted movement and decision fatigue.
Okay, so we've locked down the shop floor data. Every second, every piece of scrap is accounted for. Let's see how managers use that clean data for planning and quality control. Starting with scheduling, what tools are available?
Well, the sources outline two main tools. First, you have the graphical dispatch list and production scheduler, which is a visual drag-and-drop tool for managing priorities.
And for more complex needs.
For true automated optimization, you turn to the Advanced Planning and Scheduling Engine, MXAPS.
MXAPS. So that's the automation engine that goes beyond just simple prioritization. What's it doing that a human scheduler might miss?
A human scheduler, especially in a complex shop, is prone to errors. Double booking a critical machine, forgetting material won't arrive until Tuesday. MXAPS eliminates that.
It considers all the constraints at once.
Exactly. It generates a realistic, executable schedule by looking at everything. Machine capacity, labor, material, even tooling availability. It solves that complex math problem for you.
So you get a schedule the floor can actually follow.
That's the goal.
Okay, moving on to quality. How does the system integrate quality checks directly into the workflow? I see it uses an integrated application, Quality Inspector.
It does, and it ties those quality checks to specific critical user actions. It enforces accountability. You can trigger an inspection automatically, for instance, the moment a user captures output.
How is that configured?
That's done using the output quality inspector definition on that shop floor client configuration card we talked about earlier. You can even trigger a quality check when a planner moves a job in the graphical schedule.
So you force managers to validate any last-minute changes they make.
That's right. It builds quality control right into the decision-making process.
Very smart. Let's finish with the administrative side. How does Shop Floor Insight streamline things for HR and payroll?
It really simplifies payroll reconciliation. The system supports configurable CSV exports that are designed to format data for major payroll systems, like ADP or Ceridian.
So no more manual data entry.
It avoids that massive headache. But maybe more importantly, it solves the problem of granular time with its shop floor line rounding rules.
Ah, the rounding rules.
Yeah.
So this deals with the fact that the shop floor might track time by the minute, but HR pays in 15-minute increments, right?
Exactly. You define rules, often based on shift patterns, to automatically round things like run time, start time, and stop time to the nearest, say, 15 minutes. It ensures the time from the floor aligns perfectly with payroll policies.
Eliminating another huge manual reconciliation task.
It really does.
Now, all of this relies on stable communication between the floor and Business Central. Can you walk us through the technical architecture, especially for cloud users? Why can't the tablets just connect directly to the cloud?
That's a great question. For Business Central cloud users, the architecture requires a really strategic component. A local Windows service, sometimes called the Communications app, that's installed on-premise.
Okay, so why have that local middleman? What's the benefit?
It comes down to two big things: stability and security. That local service is the central communications hub. All the shop terminals, Windows devices, Android tablets, whatever, they all talk locally to that service.
And the service then talks to Business Central in the cloud.
Right. This means all the high-volume barcode scanning, the clock-ins, the clock-outs, that all happens locally and rapidly without being dependent on a flaky internet connection. The production line doesn't stop if the Wi-Fi dips.
And the security angle?
It centralizes it. You don't have to give every single tablet on your shop floor direct internet access to your ERP system. It's a much more secure posture.
That makes a lot of sense. And to manage this whole network of devices, we keep coming back to the shop floor client configuration card. Just reinforce why that's so important for scalability.
Think of that card as the master personality for a specific tablet or station. You use these cards to assign a unique configuration filters, buttons, colors, often based on a fixed IP address.
So the interface for a machine operator is totally different from the one for a roving quality inspector.
And it's all done through configuration, not custom coding. That's what makes it so flexible and easy to manage as you grow.
Okay, one more technical but important point. Long shifts. If an operator starts a 12-hour shift but doesn't scan anything for a few hours, how do you stop the system from automatically closing their time card?
That's handled by a setting called hours before close in the shop floor setup. It basically tells the system how long a time card can be inactive before it closes. For a 12-hour shift, you just set that value higher, maybe to 13 or 14 hours.
Simple enough. It prevents those long cycle jobs from causing payroll issues.
Precisely.
So finally, we've talked about all these sophisticated features. How does a commercial application like Shop Floor Insight compare to what a manufacturer might try to build themselves, the old homegrown solution?
The biggest risk with a homegrown solution is what we call technical debt. It might solve your problem today, but it doesn't scale. It rarely integrates cleanly with the next version of Business Central, and it has no support.
And it's on you to maintain it forever.
Right. A dedicated MES solution is built on industry best practices, the integration is maintained for you, and it's constantly being updated. It's just a much lower risk, higher reward approach.
This has been a really comprehensive look at what happens when you finally decide to take control of your production data. The key takeaway seems to be that Shop Floor Insight provides that real-time execution layer that Business Central needs.
It does.
It transforms that manual, delayed data entry into actionable, validated, barcode-driven insights. It's the difference between summarizing what happened yesterday and actively managing your costs right now.
And here's a final provocative thought for you to consider. That ability to capture detailed rework time and assign a specific root cause code that fundamentally changes cost analysis.
How so?
What previously disappeared into your job costing as just standard productive labor, which was really just masking inefficiencies, is now clearly defined and itemized as lost productivity due to an external factor. An incorrect engineering drawing, a bad batch of material. This granularity lets you quantify the exact financial cost of your organizational friction. It enables you to prioritize and solve problems based on hard financial data, not on guesswork or who shouts the loudest. That power is truly transformative.